Robert Fulton and the Steamboat. Before the turbine in the internal combustion engine, there was the steam engine. Robert Fulton, an inventor, engineer, and naval architect of the early 19th century, showed the world another way of transportation, the steamboat. He was born on November 4, 1765, in Little Britain Township, Pennsylvania. When he was 6, he moved to Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Fulton stayed in Lancaster throughout the Revolutionary War, where it was a military supply base for the Patriots. By the age of 16, he went to Philadelphia to study the art of painting. Many of his paintings have not survived, but as you can see with this example, his skills were exemplary. To further his interest in art, he raised money to go to England and study with Benjamin West. During this period of his life, Fulton became interested in engineering. He eventually stopped studying with Benjamin West and moved to France to pursue these ambitions as an engineer. In France, he proposed ideas to make canals bigger, which would allow more ships to pass through. When they denied all of his proposals, he abandoned his interest in canal design. He then became interested in designing submarines for the French Navy. Napoleon accepted one of his designs. It was built on January 3, 1800. However, when a ship was sent into battle, it was quickly destroyed. Because of this, he gave up on submarines. Afterwards, for a brief period, he pursued the design of ocean mines for the British Navy, but none of his ideas were adopted, and he lost interest in that profession too. Finally, in 1793, he became interested in steamboats. While the steamboat was invented 30 years prior by James Rumsey and John Bilch, its use was very limited. In late 1790s, while in England, Robert Fulton designed a new and improved steamship. He later teamed up with a rich businessman from New York named Robert Livingston to help build the ship in America. In 1807, they created the first commercial successful steamboat by the name of the North River Steamboat of Claremont. Steamboats became the fastest source of transportation since horses were domesticated. After a landmark voyage of the Claremont, Robert Fulton was quoted as saying, "My steamboat voyage to Albany and back has turned out rather more favorably than I had calculated. The distance from New York to Albany is 150 miles. I ran it up in 32 hours and down in 30. I had a light breeze against me the whole way, both going and coming, and the voyage has been performed wholly by the power of the steam engine. I overtook many sloops and schooners, beating to windward, and parted with them as if they'd been at anchor. The power of propelling boats by steam now is fully proved." His steamboat was an instant success. Importantly, he gained sole rights to use the steamboat navigation on the Hudson River, thanks to Robert Livingston's monopoly with the state of New York. Along the way, they found a third partner. His name was Nicholas J. Roosevelt. Together, they opened the first steamboat to operate on the Mississippi River on January 1, 1811. It was called the New Orleans. In 1814, the New Orleans sank because of a puncture in its hull. Their commercial business was replaced by the Henry Miller Shreve Steamboat Company. Several years later, after the steamboat became a popular and reliable source of transportation and shipping, people in Connecticut would wait outside of Hartford for a ship called the State of New York to pull up to the harbor and deliver goods. While the steamboat added great things to the society, there were many downsides to the steamboat. Explosions of the boiler were frequent in the first few years of steamboats. Boiler explosions averaged about 10 a year, killing 200 citizens. However, after about 50 years of improvements to its engine, it eventually lowered it to 4 boiler explosions a year, killing only 50 people. Steam propulsion was also a major waste of fuel. River steamers could be seen stacking firewood on the bank by local landowners, expressly for this purpose. One woman from Britain stated that she had never witnessed nature reduced so low as it appeared in the woodcutters' huts and the wholesome banks of the Mississippi. Cost was also a factor. The cost to build and maintain a steamboat was also very expensive. Steamboats were made of iron, steel, and wood, which needed to be maintained in a marine situation. Steamboats added a lot to the 19th century. They were fastest source of transportation and made navigation on water easier. Americans could practically go anywhere on the steamboat. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "Old in New England, and arriving at its ports with the punctuality of a planet, is a step of man into harmony with nature." The impact is clearly evident in the early movies. Walt Disney made an animation movie that took place on a steamboat named Steamboat Willie. Steamboat Willie was Walt Disney's third animated movie and the first sound Mickey Mouse movie in history. Robert Fulton was a true visionary of his time. He partnered with Robert Livingston and Nicholas J. Roosevelt to create and commercialize the steamship as a fast and reliable means of transportation and shipping. Its impact has improved the growth of society.